Okay, so this is our week 3 webinar for EDT607. Our agenda for tonight is to go over just some general class things and then go over the assignments. Before going over the assignments, we will have a quick explanation of storyboarding since that's the main topic of the week. There's obviously more information, maybe not obviously, but there is more information on the week 3 portion of our class website as well. So general class things, I'm going to go through this quickly since if you've attended the first 2 webinars, you probably have heard this at least 2 times before. So when will grades be posted? Grades will be posted the Tuesday or later after the class ends. The class ends, remember, the Saturday of the 4th week of class. So that's a day early, so keep that in mind. All grades are posted at the same time as far as I know. So if one person isn't ready, we're all kind of waiting for that one person to, turn everything in, get it graded, and then I can post grades for everyone. So just keep that in mind. That doesn't mean that if you have, an emergency of some sort, something that can't be helped, and you need an extra day or 2 or something like that, that doesn't mean that you can't request that, but just keep that in mind, as you're finishing things up. Discussion boards, do try to do these earlier in the week. They make a bit more sense if they're, not at the very end of the week, because we're kind of rolling around in the topic and, working on the assignment and reading the readings and, that kind of thing. So it makes a little more sense. And then also, it does make it a little bit easier to respond to other students if responses are done earlier. It's easier to go in there and respond to other students if that's a requirement. So remember, oftentimes, you are required to respond to at least one other student, most of the time 2 other students, so check the rubric on that. As you're putting your response, this week's, I believe, has 2 parts to the response, so if you could label those parts so I make sure I don't, miss them if they get kind of jumbled up in, one paragraph, and just kind of organize your thoughts on that so that it's easy for me to see the response to those 2 parts so I don't think that you missed something. I do have a website that this webinar will be posted to and some other information, so you might check that at that web address right there. We do have weekly meetings. The week 4 is to be determined. I might possibly do a Twitter chat, which is kind of an interesting way to use Twitter to have a discussion like this, so I'll give you more information as we move along in the class. And then rubrics, most assignments have rubrics, if not all assignments, so always check those rubrics so you don't miss points. Just make sure you know where points are given and how, and make sure you check that so you don't miss anything. Okay, so the topic, or a big topic this week, is on storyboarding and implementation. So basically, when you storyboard a website like this, you're planning out the major sections of your site. I'll show you an example in just a minute. You want to show where which major sections there are going to be and where each section leads to. You can get very detailed or you can get not as detailed. You do want to show the basics of what will be in each section. So let's go ahead and look at an example right here. This one has a bit less detail. So you've got your home page right up here. That's when somebody types in your URL. That's the first page they go to. And then maybe like across the top here on that page, you would see like products, about us, clients, calendar events. These things would be there, and you'd be able to click on each of those things. And then, for instance, here, when you click on products, you would come to a couple of different pages. If it was an electronics website, you might have, tablets and TVs or something like that here. And then also notice that there is sort of some navigational stuff here too. So when you go to category 1 here under products, you want to be able to link back to products there, and from products you want to be able to link back to home, and you might even want to be able to link back to home from category 1 here. So you never want your user to get lost in your site. You don't want them to get 2, 3, 4 levels into this being the first level, second level, third level here. You don't want them to get, deeply into your site and then all of a sudden find themselves trapped and unable to get back to the beginning. So from here, category 1, you might want to link back over here, and possibly a link back over here, so it's easy to navigate through the site. So you want to kind of plan out that navigation. Okay, let's go ahead and look at one with a bit more detail. This one here you can see is basically the same thing, but here they've planned out each page a little bit too, so they know where each element of the page is going to go. So for instance here, they have blogs as a title, and then they have some subtitles here, and they know they're going to have an image right here next to each of these things, and some text here. So you might want to plan those things out too. It makes it a little bit a little bit easier when you actually start designing your site. What you don't want to do is just jump into your site and start putting things down, because you're probably going to figure out halfway through that this can't go here, or this picture has to go up here, or I got to insert this between these two things, and then it makes it a little bit more difficult to design if you're doing that in the middle of designing everything. So the planning is pretty crucial. For your assignment, you're only making a one-page tutorial, so you may not have all of these pages right here. You may just have one page that you're sort of planning out. But this is an example of what you could create here. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you here. I'm going to pause this for a moment and bring up my own site, and I'll give you an example of what this looks like. Here, this is what my website looks like, and so this is my home page where it says the Professor Zone right there, and then I've got my my index here. So I've got a page for EDT607, ADL636, and these are all the classes that I teach, and then I even have a little bit more over here. So this would be that sort of index, that navigation, and then this would be sort of the third level. If I go to EDT607 and click on webinars, then it brings up these webinars here, basically. And then from here, I can then navigate back to EDT607 by tapping on EDT607, or I can go back to home, or if I want to go to another class, I can go over to my ADL632 class if I wanted to. So that's kind of how this navigation works, and you can sort of see a relationship here between the storyboarding that I just showed and the actual site right here. So that's just kind of how that part of it works. So let's go back to the presentation here. Your first assignment for the week is going to be a rough draft of your website. Basically, here's where you're going to begin creating your training site. You're probably going to want to storyboard this out, like we just talked about, but you should basically be done with your training web page, actually is what it is. But it is a rough draft, so you may have some polishing left over. It doesn't need to be perfect yet, but it should have all of the elements that you're going to, all or most of the elements. You may decide after you get it done, oh, I want to add this or whatever, but there should be, most of it should be done. It should be, this is your rough draft. You basically, it's like a rough draft when you write an essay. It's basically all there. You just got to go and polish it a little bit, do a little bit of editing. There are some examples in the class website, so I'll go ahead and take you over there. So now I'm on week 3 of our class website. Here's the assignment explained right here, and here's one of our examples right there. So if I click on that, this takes me to their website, and you can see this is what theirs looks like with the explanations and the images and things like that. Okay. Our discussion board has 2 parts. That's where I'd say you'd probably want to label those 2 parts. So essentially what you're doing is you're posting the URL to your site. So you're going to want to go to your site and copy and paste the URL to the discussion board so that other students can go directly to that site, because what they're going to do is they're going to critique your site. So you're going to want to make sure that when you go to your site, you don't show you show the right URL. Sometimes when you are editing your site, right now I'm in a preview mode, but if you're editing your site, like what's about to come up right here, where I can insert things and I can change my layout and do things like that, then this may not be the website. So you can't copy and paste from where you're editing sometimes. You need to actually go to the site, view the site, and then you want to bring that up. So if I go to, now I've used a URL shortener here, but if I go to my site, you'll see that this is actually a different address, different URL from what I had up before. It was much longer. So if I copied and pasted the URL from where I'm editing, you might not be able to get to it because you're not me. It would ask you to log in to be able to edit the site, whereas this URL right here now goes directly to my site and allows other people to view it. So you'll just want to keep that in mind. Okay, so once you get that copied and pasted, you're going to want to critique someone else's site. Before we get to that, though, I did want to mention that it does mention in there that you should compress your images. Now, I don't find that I really need to do that much anymore. I'm not sure if these web design applications do that for us now or what, but it used to be back in the day you would get like a limited amount of space. So you'd have to compress your images so that they took up less space, so you didn't use up all your space and then have to purchase more or just run out. So you may not have to do that part right there if you read about that. So first you're copying and pasting your URL so that other students can see it. Then you're going to critique another student's site. So when you critique another student's site, notice it says it is 200 to 300 words, so there's a requirement there. And you're using, you'll find this in here. You'll find these requirements in the week 3 of our website. So you want to go read up on those so you'll know what these mean. I won't explain it right here, so you can go ahead and check it out, or if you have any questions, just let me know. But it is 200 to 300 words, and basically you're going to want to give both praise and formative evaluation. So you're going to want to give students some evaluation so that they can make their site better. So you want to tell them what's working and what you think could be better, or what's just not working. Okay? So you're going to want to get both sides there, but of course be kind. Okay. Last thing is, don't forget about the class ratings. There's some great stuff in there, some really good information that'll help you in designing your website and storyboarding things out, things like that. So, and that's it. Thanks for being here, and have a great day. Attending the live chat, because I'm going to do a live chat for this one. If you attended the live chat or are going to attend it, you get the points automatically. If you're unable to attend the live chat and you're watching either this pre-recorded version or the recorded version of the live chat, then you do need to submit a paper, a 3-paragraph summary of what happened in the chat. Either this one right here, the pre-recorded version, or the live one where students are allowed to ask questions and things like that. But these are the 3 things that you're going to want to answer in the paper and then submit that here if you want to get those points if you're unable to attend the live chat. All right, thank you.